coming to us all the way from Australia. I think it's somewhere in the middle of the day on Sunday, down under, and you guys are heading into summer, and we're heading into winter, and so it's quite a upside down world, so to speak. You guys being on basically the other side of the world. His name is Glenn, and Glenn, welcome back. If you can start just real quick with your background with MLM and your sort of story for the brand new listener that has no idea who you are and what your perspective is. Again, welcome to the show, and go right ahead.
Yeah, hey guys, it's great to be back on Building Fortunes Radio. My dad is probably the best example I think you could ever find of a true believer in the Amway system. He believes that it's the greatest opportunity in the world, even though this is his 24th year, and he's in a far, far worse position than what he was when he began. He had a little bit of success in about 2006. Now, he was earning $1,000 a week, and he was saying that was the equivalent of a $1 million asset. Now, the way they calculated that was because to earn $1,000 a week in interest, in bank interest, you would need to have $1 million in the bank. So, of course, though, predictably, his group quickly fell apart. Everybody in it quit, which meant his $1 million asset went to zero very, very quickly. I think this is one of the biggest myths of MLMs, the idea that this was said a lot when I was in with Dad, that you only have to do the work once. It's like writing a book. You write the book, and then you sit back, you relax, and the money flows forever. This is completely false. I think it's more like, I'd say, an MLM business, especially the higher up you go, it's almost like a bathtub with no plug. You need to be constantly bringing in more recruits than is leaving. So with the bath, you need to have the water running at the same speed as you're losing the water. That's how I see it. My dad is completely and utterly obsessed with Amway. You'll struggle to find someone that has listened to more Amway tapes, read more Amway books, been to more Amway functions, bought more Amway products, and despite the lack of success, he's still every bit as determined and believes it's going to work as what he was on day one. So I really feel like this is, as Marco says, this is the greatest financial fraud of all time. The tragedy that the media, I don't know why the mainstream media isn't on this. I find it extraordinary. You look at the way they covered the Bernie Madoff situation compared to this. This is a much, much larger, bigger fraud with a lot more victims, and yet the media don't talk about it. I don't know why you guys think that is, but why aren't the legacy mainstream media talking about this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Madoff was responsible for about, I think, $20 billion, in scam dollars, and MLM does about $40 billion in the United States alone every year. So, yeah, it's much larger than Madoff. I think one of the reasons is, the people that Madoff ripped off were very wealthy people, so it was newsworthy, whereas with MLM, it's your everyday regular person, and it's just not as dramatic as, other billionaires being ripped off by Bernie Madoff. It's kind of a weird thing. I've also heard that they're afraid of being sued. I don't put a lot of credence in that because, there have been some shows done, and I know, Glenn, you've recently been working on the Dateline NBC broadcast from 2004, and that was pretty good description of what's going on. They talked about all the money being made on tools, and that still didn't get the FTC's attention. I mean, I gave input to the FTC in 2006 about the tool scam, and the only result of that was I was literally a footnote in the Federal Register, which is where, their discussion and their conclusion is published. And I was literally a footnote, in that document. So it gets pretty frustrating because you know what's going on and you know how to fix it, and then not very much happens. It's frustrating, but that's why we do this show, is to continue to tell the story, continue to put pressure on the FTC, continue to bring guests on like you and other guests that tell their stories, so that we can build up, literally a body of work to describe what's going on. That these are not one-offs. Your dad's experience, I would say, is extreme as far as the amount of time, but it's not extreme as far as the day-to-day experience of being ripped off, of buying overpriced products, not being able to sell them. All those things, is a constant story. And we just have to keep telling it and keep, asking people to write complaints to the FTC, which is very easy, by the way. ftc.gov is the website. And on the front page, you'll see, how to submit a complaint. And it's just fill in the blank online and very easy to do. So it really is something that's befuddling. Now, I look at other problems, in our country, other countries, but particularly the United States, and there's a lot of other problems other than MLM that have been going on for a very long time, and not nearly enough is being done about it. And so, it's kind of typical in a way that they're not paying much attention to MLM, because there's a lot of other things they're not paying much attention to.
Yeah, see, I disagree with that. I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is the fact that every single major political party in the United States of America is receiving huge, massive donations from the MLM companies. I really think that this is something that me and Scott, and I think Peter, all disagree on. I think the way to hurt the MLM industry is to write letters to the media and to the politicians. I feel like the FTC, it's a waste of time. These guys are being paid off. This is literally, it's not an exaggeration. These guys are being paid off. Everyone works, the top guys work in there. They want a job at Herbalife or Amway or Prime America when they leave the FTC. It's going to be an easier job. It's going to be a job that pays more than the FTC. So they know that if they take on any MLM company, they're not going to get that job. So I really think the MLM industry, I think the best way to take it down is to mock it and ridicule it out of existence. And there's enough footage enough of their own footage on YouTube that we can mock and ridicule. And I think that's the best way to do it.
I've always said I'm an all-the-above person, so when I say write complaints to the FTC, I'm still in favor of that. But I also agree with you. Write the politicians, write the media, do everything you can. Do social media, do all those things. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's all the above. So, that's my position on that. Because I don't know which one's going to be effective. My personal opinion is FTC, but hey, let's push everywhere.
Yeah, in respect to Scott too, there was an Australian journalist this week who wrote an article in the biggest newspaper in Australia about the MLM industry. I sent it straight to Scott, and Scott was right on it. He sent her an email almost straight away. So I'm going to leave a link to that. I'm going to put it on the screen now. Please, guys, send this journalist an email and urge her to write more stories and congratulate her on writing this article, because very, very few people in the Australian mainstream media have written articles on what is the greatest financial fraud of all time. I think the reason for this is that these newspapers get advertising money from companies like Herbalife, big money from companies like Herbalife. I know here in Australia, the Western Sydney Wanderers, a soccer team, have got a huge sponsorship with Herbalife. They've even got Herbalife written across their jersey for their women's team. I was quite appalled. I was watching a Western Sydney Wanderers game, and the scrolling signage just had Herbalife over and over and over again. I was disgusted, really, in the Western Sydney Wanderers. If you're out there, please leave a message for the Western Sydney Wanderers and let them know what you think on their YouTube channel, and email them and let them know that you're supporting a fraud. to me, you're almost degrading your jersey by sticking Herbalife across it.
Yeah, and, you know, it's not just Australia, Glenn, but here in the United States, there's a soccer team in Los Angeles, and I believe they still sponsor that soccer team. I haven't looked recently, but I know for years and years they have been, and they have Herbalife on their jerseys and that whole thing. So yeah, it's something that they do. Now the good news, let's put some good news in here, is Herbalife stock is okay. Their volume is going down. Their stock is around, I think, a little less than $8 a share, and they were running at, I think, $50 or $60 just a few years ago. You can go all the way back into the early 2000s to find their stock price as low as it is now, and that means if you had invested with them back then, you would have made not only zero money, but because of inflation, you would have lost money. And so Herbalife is hurting just like a lot of other MLMs are. And again, you know, we need to keep the pressure on. I'm a big believer in I don't mean physically, but kick them while they're down. You know, don't let up. This is the time to really, you know, step on their neck, so to speak. Again, not physically, but you know, we can't let up. And I've kind of noticed there's been less anti-MLM videos, particularly on YouTube, recently, and it kind of means
I've got some good news on that, Scott. I've got some good news on that front. I've got some very, very good news on that front. You probably won't think it's great news, but I think it's absolutely amazing news. And this is something, I don't want to gloat and say I was right, but this is something that me and you argued about in the past. Always Marco's Prime America in infiltrating a pyramid scheme. That company has spent a lot of money to stop you, the public, from watching it. The good news is there's a YouTube channel, and I'm urging everybody, please, 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 subscribe to this channel, leave comments on these videos, support this company. Family First Life Lawsuits. I'll say it again. Family First Life Lawsuits has re-uploaded this video in full, and it's had 114,000 views. So Prime America's attempt to censor this video has failed, and it's failed badly. This isn't the only channel that has re-uploaded this. Multiple channels have it. My last count was about 11 have re-uploaded this video. So Prime America has now spent a hell of a lot of money, and all they've done, really, long term, I guarantee you what's going to happen is more people are going to see this movie because of the attempted censorship. Another example of an MLM company or tools business trying to censor an anti-MLM movie was Welcome to Life in 1993. This was a very, very small indie film. If Network 21 and Amway hadn't gone after it, almost nobody would have seen it. But because of their ridiculous censorship, they successfully had this movie banned for a period of time. But today, it is all over YouTube. Everybody can see it. And I've got no doubt that more people are going to have seen Welcome to Life and will see Welcome to Life because of the censorship. This should be a warning for all the MLMs out there that try and censor anti-MLM content and it will backfire. More people will watch it, not less. And I'm also urging everybody out there, when an anti-MLM creator is censored or they attempt to censor him, it's very, very important that we all make it bigger, far, far bigger than what it would have been otherwise. Because if we do that, if we successfully make a video bigger than what it otherwise would have been, this will stop the tactic of cease and desist letters and suing of anti-MLM creators. So to me, this is very, very important that everybody out there, they get this, they share this on their social media. They let everybody see it, and also I'm continuing to urge people to re-upload it. Family First, this is a law firm. They know that they can't, Prime America can't do anything about them re-uploading something that's been leaked multiple times. They can't stop it, they can only try. So I'm urging everybody, share this far and wide. Let's make sure that this is the biggest mistake Prime America ever made, trying to censor this movie. This will backfire on them, and it already has backfired. So let's continue to make sure that it's going to hurt them more, and this will stop people from this censorship. What do you make of that, Scott?
No, I totally agree. Another recent example of that is Hannah Alonso made a video about Melaleuca. She made a video about Melaleuca, and then the company sued her, and she took it down, and she actually made an apology video. It was only 2 or 3 minutes long, but it was being held hostage. I mean, she had a blank stare on her face. You know, this is a woman that usually has a big smile and, you know, is kind of jovial as she's talking about all these scam artists. But she was just sitting there like someone literally had a gun to her head, you know, just reading words with no emotion, saying how she talked to the owner of the company and his wife, I guess, and maybe some other people high in the company. And, you know, she basically said, I'm wrong. Now, the only thing that she really didn't change her mind on was whether or not Melaleuca is an MLM, because Melaleuca claims they're not, but they are. And it's really simple. Yeah. You know, if your pay plan pays out on multiple levels, you're an MLM. It's not rocket science. And that is what they have. And they've tried to say a bunch of other stuff.
I think it's really important for the viewers.
But other people have picked up on that, and fortunately, as far as I know, no one made a copy of the original video. I wish I had, because I would have put it back up on YouTube. But there are other people. There are other people talking about this, and so
Scott, see, I think this is a good chance for you to really make a stand and say, you know what, MLM companies, this will backfire if you try and censor. You hate Marco. You absolutely hate him. But we need to have a thing happening where even if you despise the person being sued, even if you despise the person who's just received a cease and desist letter, you're going to support that person. Why don't you re-upload Marco's masterpiece, Infiltrating a Pyramid Scheme, Prime America? That would really send a pretty strong message and encourage other people to do the same. And I also urge you to jump onto Family First Life Lawsuits and leave a comment, subscribe to their channel, like the video, and leave a comment saying, I hate Marco, but you know what? If you try and censor an MLM video, I'm going to support it, and I'm going to make it bigger. That will stop these ridiculous cease and desist letters, and that will stop this tactic of suing anti-MLMers. I really think this is one of the most important things we need to do as a community. Stand together, and whoever gets sued, we all support, even if we hate them. That's how the trade union movements have worked in the past. If you're on a building site and you hate a guy, but you feel he was being treated harshly or unfairly by your employer, you stop working until they rehire the man. And, you know, it might hurt the individual short term because he might lose a day's work or lose a few hours' work, but long term, everybody's better off. Long term, all anti-MLM creators will be better off if we stand together and we work together. So what do you say to that, Scott? Can you take a stand against anti-MLM censorship and support Marco, even though you hate him?
Well, we've discussed this before, and my answer is going to be the same. Number one, I don't work with a cocaine dealer, and more recently,
you don't have to work with him. You just have to support.
A cocaine dealer that denies being a cocaine dealer. He lied about being a cocaine dealer on his own video. It's just amazing. If you go back and look at the video he did about 2 or 3 months ago, where he was interviewing Jared from Imperium, he flat out denied multiple times that he ever sold cocaine. And yet his own video that he made a couple of years ago, he's talking about selling cocaine, being a cocaine dealer. So no, I have no desire to work with somebody like that. And on top of that, he's not real significant as far as the effort.
114,000 views on the Family First Life Lawsuits. This is a very, very good thing for this channel. I mean, this channel has only got, let me look it up. This is the smallest channel. This is a tremendous result for them. They've only got 3.89 thousand subscribers.
I also don't think that there was a problem with those companies that did sue him, because what Marco does is he finds some information that's good. You know, does his undercover stuff. I have no problem with that. That's like Dateline NBC or 60 Minutes. But then he goes overboard. He says stuff that's absolutely either untrue or unprovable with no substantiation.
They have
every right to
I need to go for 10 minutes. Can I call? I'll call back in 10 minutes, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, I've got to do something here. I apologize.
Yep, no problem.
I'll see you in 10, sorry.
Yep. Did you have something, Peter?
Well, we had Gus Fox on, or the gentleman who's...
I'll see you in 10, okay?
Yeah, I was going to mention that, too. You've been a guest.
And they never mentioned Primerica. So, and just so you know, I'm pretty sure Marco was calling Glenn because we had a phone number come in, and I think we have Marco right here, right now. So hold on, Marco, you want to say something? Hold on.
If I'm going to try and masturbate in public and hopefully nobody catches me. If I'm going to try and masturbate in public and hopefully nobody catches me. If I'm going to try and masturbate in public and hopefully nobody catches me. If I'm going to try and masturbate in public and hopefully nobody catches me.
Oh, shit. Scott, I had to disconnect him because we can't have Marco calling in.
No, we can't have that language.
Saying things like that. That's just not nice. We'll have to edit that out because Marco's in Thailand right now after the Primerica lawsuit. So we'll have to make sure that we try to do whatever we can. Maybe, forget it. We'll just leave it in there because it's true. That was his voice. And relative to Glenn's comment about Marco and the wonderful whatever video that he made, well, the judges will decide how wonderful that video is based on Marco defaming and slandering the people from Primerica or not. And although it's totally okay to have legitimate criticism, the anti-MLMers have a tendency of overstepping their criticism that becomes personal and sometimes even threatening, like he's done previously with the people from Primerica, WFG, and some of the other companies that he's made his infamous videos with. So, and I don't recall, I could be wrong, maybe we don't know everything, but I don't remember Primerica being involved at all with the Family First cases because they're separate companies. They're different companies. Why in the world would Family First have anything to do with Primerica? So it just doesn't. I think Glenn's mistaken, but when he comes back, we'll give him a chance to explain his mistakenness, and he'll probably come back with different coaching because I think Marco was calling Glenn because I saw some people calling in and then they disappeared. That's probably why Glenn is going to be wherever he's going to be.
That's right. Yeah, I haven't looked at that channel, that Gus Fox channel recently. Maybe he's branched out. I don't know.
He might have.
I can't